There's so much random stuff that we could talk about today on Trending in the AM. Our Roseman fixing all of his problems and mistakes of 2023, his 2024 offseason. Yesterday was the 20-year anniversary of the implosion of the vet. Memory there. The Tush Push isn't going anywhere. Eagles signed Parris Campbell. John Calipari loses in the first round of March Madness. There's so much going on. So much randomness. And, of course, Otani, that situation is still lingering and will be lingering for the foreseeable future. So much we could talk about today. We're going to talk about it all. Plus Phillies Fridays with Kylee live at 9 a.m. Trend the AM with your thoughts and opinions. We're live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome. Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Wherever you are watching, hit like, share, subscribe, retweet, follow. Whatever you could do. Tell a friend. Tap on the guy in front of you at Wawa's shoulder. Tell them all. Tune in. Trending in the AM, where your opinions actually matter. I'd greatly appreciate each and every one of you doing that. I am your host, Philip Stiefel, as always, at Beard and Knowledge on all social media platforms. Make sure you find me if I'm on it. That is how you do it. And then we got lots to going on today. Eagles signed Parris Campbell. We'll touch on that. The Tush Push isn't going anywhere. The vet imploded 20 years ago yesterday. Kind of forgot to bring that up on the show yesterday, so we're going to talk about the vet and all the great memories there. Tush Push isn't going anywhere. Love to see it. Harden playing defense. Saw that video yesterday. Phillies Fridays with Kylee. I know I already see her commenting. She'll be here in about an hour to talk Phillies, to talk Otani some more with me. Talk Bryce Harper. Talk lots of things there with her when we get to that. Calipari loses. I think I said that, and it's a great day when that happens. And, of course, the Eagles' main discussion today, Howie Roseman fixing all of his problems and mistakes from 2023 in one offseason. All on the table. So we drive the show. I drive the show with the topics. You drive it, though, with your comments. Landon's a center. No, Landon Dickerson will not be a center. He's the best left guard. In football. Why would you take the best left guard of football and put him at center? Every day, I see more and more people saying that, and I think it is a terrible idea. The worst thing you can do when building a football team or building any sports team is fix a hole by creating another hole. You don't take the best at one position, move them somewhere else. Now you got to fill the left guard position. So, no. You are seeing, yes, Kentucky. Wreck. It could not have happened to a better team. I couldn't be more happy. I feel bad for the kids of Kentucky, but you know what? It was your choice to play under scumbag John Calipari. There's only one person I hate more in college sports than John Calipari, and that's Rick Pitino, also not playing in the tournament. I literally watched more college basketball last night than I did all season. I didn't turn it on once during the day yesterday. College basketball. I have zero brackets going. It's a very freeing feeling to be able to sit down and watch a March Madness game and have no money on the line. Well, I do have the $2 on Auburn or whatever. That was just for fun. It was just so refreshing. No basketball yesterday. Get home from work, sit down after helping take care of dinner with the dogs and doing things around the house. Sit down, flip on the clicker, put on CBS, and there's 10, 12 minutes left in the Kentucky, Oakland? I don't even know who it was. Oakland, I think, game. And Kentucky got beat. And I love it. I love it. It makes me so happy that the only time I've watched college basketball in the last 12 months was watching Kentucky get knocked out as a 3 seed of the first round of the NCAA tournament. Nothing makes me happier. This show's a cakewalk. I don't care what we talk about today. Kentucky lost. Only thing I ever care about is watching Kentucky and whoever Rick Pitino's coaching lose. Texas Tech ruined. I don't know. I didn't watch that. You drafting O-line early. Very possible. Did a mock draft this morning before the show. I didn't have it didn't fall that way for me, but I really foresee Howie looking at offensive line in the first round. And if he doesn't take an offensive lineman in the first round, 50 or 53 will be an offensive lineman, without a doubt. Good morning to Patty Bernard, the Gobbler. Will you be up late till 2 a.m. doing Sixers post-game live again today, buddy? Dedication over at Edge of Philly. Somebody had to step up on that brand to do your post-game shows on the West Coast trip. Patty Bernard's doing it. I love you, Patty. You are the best. We got to get you back on here. It's been a while since you've been on the morning show. Howie made it so you can pick best available player. It really is. Howie's had a very strong offseason. There's still questions remaining. There's still moves and things that have to happen this offseason. But realistically, we need a safety. We need a cornerback. We need a linebacker. We need some help on the offense and defensive line, wide receiver. He can literally sit at 22, watch how that board falls, and just take the best available player. And most likely, it will fill a need on this team. A need that has players at it, but you need the depth, and maybe it's somebody that can step in and overtake a veteran. Literally, you could take the best player on the board, and that person can make a difference, but also not have immense pressure day one on them. You got to love the offseason that Howie's done so far. You really do. Yes, K1, good morning to you, my man. And make sure everybody's hitting that like button, share button, wherever you're watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I'd greatly appreciate all the likes and shares that we can get on this show, please. Parris Campbell. And before I address it, people are coming in, people are rolling in. Also want to make sure 20 years ago yesterday, Veteran Stadium was finally demolished and blown up and leveled to a pile of dirt. I still got a piece of vet turf sitting right here. I want to hear in the comments the favorite memories you have. For those of you old enough, because a lot of the viewers are younger, your favorite memories of going to Veteran Stadium. Drop them in the comment section, please. I would love to reminisce a little bit before we get to Phillies Fridays at 9 o'clock with Kylee. But to K1's point here, yes, we got Parris Campbell, wide receiver, played with the Colts beginning of his career, played last year with the Giants. Another depth signing. Last year, we kept Quez Watkins, brought in Lamade Zaccheaus. This year, Howie has decided it's smarter to bring in guys that Phil, the beard of knowledge, can pronounce the names of. Parris Campbell, Devontae Parker. Making things a little easier for me this year. I mean, he kept Alberto, Aqua Bowman, but, we'll let Howie slide with that. Parris Campbell. Who is Parris Campbell? What did we get there? Is he any better than Devontae Parker? Is he any better than Quez Watkins? First thing we got to understand is Parris Campbell has been in the league. I've got his football pro reference thing up here. He has played 5 years in the NFL. He has played a grand total of 44 games in those 5 years. Less than 9 games a year. He played 12 games last year, missed 5. 2022 was his one big breakout year with the Colts. He played in all 17. He started 16 of them. He had 63 catches, 600-plus yards, a couple touchdowns. He's got potential, Parris Campbell. Parris Campbell does not stay healthy. So in a role, in a rotation where he's not the main focus here, behind Smitty and behind AJ, behind Saquon, behind Goddard, at a minimum, Parris Campbell is the 5th option on this team. Maybe 6th behind Devontae Parker. Maybe 7th behind if they draft an early wide receiver, which I still think there is a possibility they do. But what was our problem last year? We didn't have enough options for Jalen Hurts to spread the ball around. Quez Watkins, unreliable. Lamade, I mean, a nice depth piece, but not a guy that can do. We need that third and fourth option. They don't seem keen on giving Britton Covey that chance. So you've got to bring in a couple guys, and that's what Campbell and that's what Parker were brought in here to do. Bring in extra options for Jalen Hurts. Happy Friday, Dave. How you doing this morning? I think we might make another offer. Justin Simmons, the longer he sits out there, the more likely it is that he signs with the Eagles. I feel like the Eagles are with Justin Simmons are in a here's our best offer, Justin. You want to go elsewhere? Beat it. Have somebody beat it. But this is our max offer for you. We want you here, but on a short-term deal. Help us develop guys. Help people learn the Fangio system, and then go on. I think he wants that one final big payday. No one's offering him that payday. I think he still ends up here, but we'll see how that plays out. If they go out and they sign Justin Simmons, then we could cross that off of the just take the best available in the first round of the draft, because you now have Chauncey, you've got Reed, you've got Sidney Brown coming back. If you bring in Justin Simmons, now you don't need to go get Cooper DeJean or whatever his name is, the top safety that'll be on the board potentially around that 22nd pick. Justin Simmons, I think Justin Simmons, we're all pining for him maybe a little too much. I think he's at best another Kevin Byard, a guy, not all pro anymore. He is your 3 wide receiver. Parris Campbell, now he is, but I don't think he will become week 1 in Brazil against the Cleveland Browns. You leave the Giants nothing. Oh, poor Giants. Boo, hoo, hoo. We're so sad about the Giants. If I'm Howie, I'm quietly shopping. What? You are insane. You have no freaking. Are you trying to agitate me early on a Friday morning? Like, seriously, I know you're not an Eagles fan. I know you like the secondary football leagues better, but that's a Bush League comment. No way. Parris Campbell, he's good. When healthy, he's a serviceable. Again, Parris Campbell, Devontae Parker, not elite wide receivers. Devontae Parker, Parris Campbell, better than Quez Watkins. That's all that matters. We've upgraded Quez Watkins. I know. Exactly. Like, what is he smoking this early on a Friday morning? I've heard wake and bake before. And I know it's Friday, but come on. Hey, Haason. I think Little G is saying this every single show until it happens in the comment section. And I love it, Little G. Pay that man his money. He earned it fair and square. He beat me. Pay that man his money. If you know, you know. But yeah, Haason Reddick, just pay him. Parker ain't it. Parker's better than Quez Watkins. That's it. Parris Campbell is good. He is good. Not great. Not elite. Has an issue with health, but we'll deal with it when it comes to it. $4 million versus $400 million. What? Stop. At the time of signing it, it will be. And he's perfectly worth it. He's that elite. Eagles draft Georgia and Alabama. I could flex out of that a little bit, bring in some big name guys, but oh man. Can we trade Mr. Nick Sirianni? Davey, not a Nick Sirianni fan. I'm willing to give. I'm giving Nick Sirianni the benefit of the doubt for one more year at this point. Everybody got a price, and Smith us good. What is your price? Oh, everybody's got a price. I'm not even going to make $1 million man joke about your comment because your first comment was so stupid. But you're not trading Devontae Smith. You're an idiot for even suggesting that. Sorry. Your opinion matters except for when you say trade Devontae Smith. That just, it's asinine. It proves you know nothing about Philadelphia whatsoever. I don't know, Teresa, what that link is you're sharing, so I can't put it up there. Let me know what that is. It's not as bad as you say. Quez is terrible. You prove that you know nothing about the Eagles when you say stuff like that. What's his role now? I have no idea what his role is, Davey. I don't know. And that's okay, Teresa. I mean, if you tell me what it is and if it's something I could share, great. If not, I don't know. I got to know what it is before I can put it up on the screen. Um, what's his role now? Seriously, what's his role after last year? Nick Sirianni. Davey wants to choose March 22nd to make it about Nick Sirianni. But that's fine. I'll address it. There's a lot of players that stood up in support of Nick Sirianni after the season, took the blame off of him. He's a guy that leads. He's going to lead. He's going to have less say in the schemes and the play calling, which is great. But he is going to play that Mike Tomlin, type role on this team, the leader that delegates. And I'm hoping that the players love playing for him. I'm not in the boat of saying he needs a short leash of 6 weeks. If that's the case, you should have just moved on from him. But Nick Sirianni is a guy that does try to get the most out of his team. And it worked literally 1 year ago. This year, crash and burn. But as much as it was his fault, it was also Sean Desai's fault. It was also, Matt Patricia's fault. It was also Brian Johnson's fault. It was also Jalen Hurts' fault. It was also A.J. Brown's fault. It was everybody's fault. It was a complete and total implosion. Let me look at the cap. It don't matter. You're not trading him at all. Our opinions matter unless we want to talk Flyers who lost in overtime in Carolina. I ask you to talk Flyers. You only ever comment about the Flyers to say I don't talk about the Flyers. But I say I start where this ship is going, and you guys steer it. If you put viable comments and questions about the Flyers and not just complain that I don't talk about the Flyers, then I will address your Flyers comments. But until you put actual comments about the team instead of just bitching and moaning, I'm choosing violence with everybody today, just so you know. I wasn't, but in the last 17 minutes, I've decided I'm choosing violence. All right? So if you want a question answered, just like Devontae Smith is not getting traded, I can't talk Flyers unless you tell me what you want to talk about. Not his scheme, and he's not play calling. Mike Tomlin, perfect example, does the same thing. The Steelers haven't had a losing season in like 400 years under Mike Tomlin. It works. He is a cheerleader, and a good cheerleader at that. And he knows how to fire the team up. He also does something very well that inspires his team, and that's he takes the blame. You noticed it last year. Anytime there was a mistake or a game that was lost or whatever, it was on me. That wasn't that was me. The players had to speak up to say, no, Nick Sirianni wasn't that. He was just taking the blame for us, taking the bullet for us. Players love to play for coaches that stick up for them. It's good. Yes, Quez Watkins is a free agent, thank God, and now he will not be back in Philly. You value Smith so much you would not move for 2 first-round picks? Nobody's going to, no one's calling Howie and offering him 2 first-round picks for Devontae Smith. 2, Howie would say no. This is not even a conversation that needs to be addressed. I don't know why you're even trying to say, and you've been saying these stupid things about him for so long. Just because you're bitter that your Bills stink and have no wide receivers, why do we have to give up one of our 2 elite wide receivers? Like, you make no sense with this. He's under contract for 2 more years under his rookie deal. There is no scenario. It doesn't even need to be commented on. No scenario whatsoever that Devontae Smith is getting traded. 0. 0 chance. So I don't know why you keep bringing it up. It literally makes 0 sense at It is going to be a long weekend. We're just going to say that. They don't stink. My Bills are just garbage. Garbage stinks, so they stink. I don't care if he takes the blame. I want a head coach that coaches and is calm. He coaches. He's calm. He's fiery when he needs to be. That's the great thing. He's a great manager, great leader, a great boss. He's everything that I am. Always try to be as a boss. He knows who needs a swift kick in the butt. He knows who needs an arm put around them and said it'll be okay. He knows who to get in the face of and fire up. He knows who to make laugh. He knows how to handle each different personality that makes up a sports locker room and handle it well, Davey. I have no problem giving Nick Sirianni one more full year. Now, what does Nick Sirianni and the Eagles have to do in 2024 to say it's more than 1 year? Like a first-round playoff exit, then you're talking about maybe moving on from Nick Sirianni, getting to the conference semifinals, winning one playoff game and getting to the second round, maybe. Winning the division, losing the conference semis, I don't know. Losing in the championship game, I'm good with him. If he gets us back to it at a minimum, the NFC championship game again in 2024, then that's fine. But I'm not ready at this point to pull the plug on Nick Sirianni. He's been here for 3 years. He's taken the team to the playoffs 3 years. He's gotten this team to the Super Bowl. I don't understand. People act like the sky is falling sometimes with the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, the last 7 games were atrocious. It bottomed out massively. But he led a poorly talented 2021 team to the playoffs. He took 2022 right to the Super Bowl. In 2023, we were 10-1 before the implosion. I'm not sure he could do outside of winning a Super Bowl. He can't do much more than that in his first 3 years as a young head coach. That's just my opinion. He can go work in your pizza shop if you love it so much. You've been drinking the Kool-Aid. Man, Dave, I'm choosing violence. Davey's choosing violence against Nick Sirianni here today. I don't know where this came from. We have not talked Nick Sirianni since the season ended, pretty much. Since the last press conference when they basically said he was coming back. Like, I haven't talked about Nick Sirianni. I don't understand where this is coming from. But I love it because it's definitely an argument to be made. I get why Davey is unhappy with Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni and the Eagles failed. But they failed for 7 weeks. But if you look at the big picture of 3 years, most teams would dream of having the last 3 years that the Eagles had. And to be in the place they are now. Draft capital, cap space, a young core and a veteran core at the same time. Like, teams would die. Organizations would die to be the Eagles right now. And Davey's ready to run our leader out. Sweat is gone after this year, $16 million cap. Sweat might be gone before tomorrow. You don't know. You never know. He's on the trade block. It's weird that Carolina's coach is Rod Brindamore. I had no idea he was even a coach in the NHL. Rod Brindamore, K1, was one of my favorite Flyers growing up. He had that nose of a hockey player, man, he had a boxer's nose. It looked like he was just punched in the face one too many times. He was one of those. How do I describe him? I'm trying to remember. I don't remember his exact stats. His stats were solid. He may have made an all-star team or two, but he was like heart, hustle. He was an overachiever. He was a guy. He was never the most talented, but he always finished right there with the most talented players in the stats because heart, hustle, loyalty. He was a perfect kind of captain-type person for a hockey team. He literally led by example. Rod Brindamore, when he left to go to Carolina when he got traded. Like, he was literally one of my favorite players growing. Probably the first player that really made me become a hockey fan, like a real hockey fan, was Rod Brindamore. He was more than Mark Recchi, more than Eric Lindros, John LeClaire, all those, Ron Hextall the first time. Rod Brindamore is probably my favorite player growing up hockey. I bet you if you ask 95, say 15-year-old Phil, his Mount Rushmore of Philly athletes as a middle high school, Rod Brindamore would have been on my Mount Rushmore. I loved him. He was my favorite. Nick will be gone before midseason. No, he will not. All I know is Sabres stink. I don't know that, but probably. Your new D coordinator will be interim. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure who would be the interim manager of the Eagles if Nick Sirianni got fired. I don't think Nick Sirianni gets fired. It would take an 0-6 start for them to even consider firing him. We will see if he is a great manager. Did he lose these guys after last season? Do they like him? Do they respect him? I feel they like him. I feel they respect him. I feel they like. My bigger concern about Nick Sirianni isn't all this. My biggest concern about Nick Sirianni is can he handle not calling the plays? Can he handle not having as much influence on the play calling? That is what I'm concerned with. Can he learn to delegate? He's a great rah-rah cheerleader type leader. I think the players love that. He knows how to yell at you. He knows how to comfort you. He knows how to do all that. Can he backpack or take off the gas a little bit and delegate more? I am not sure. I can't wait to see what that relationship will be like between Sirianni and Kellen Moore. Fangio, he's the head coach of the defense. I'm not worried about that. But the Moore Sirianni relationship will be very intriguing to me. Very intriguing. And can he delegate and trust the guy that's been hired to do a job to do the job and not stick his fingers in there? Is that Kool-Aid McKinstry flavored? Yeah. Is that because I'm so high? Yeah. No. I love Simone Gagne. Rocked his away jersey at Pred games here. Simone Gagne was a favorite Flyer of mine too. But I was already a Flyers fan when Simone Gagne came around. Rod Brindamore was the guy that really got me hooked into the game. I still remember my first game sitting in the upper deck of the Spectrum. It was a Flyers game against the Winnipeg Jets. And I don't even know what year it was. My Uncle Johnny was still around. So probably like 93, 91, somewhere in that range. Oh, man, I still remember it. I step into the chat a little late and we're talking Flyers. I not talking Flyers. K1 is asking me to talk Flyers. I said, if you ask me a real question instead of complaining that I don't talk Flyers, then I'll talk Flyers. That's all I'm saying. We've got Eagles on it, Phillies on it. Vet implosion happened, so vet memories. Calipari loses. Parris Campbell is an Eagle. Someone decided to start bashing Nick Sirianni in the comments today. So we've got it all ducked until Phillies Fridays start at 9 a.m. in 32 minutes with Kylee. I think he did lose some of the team last season. I'm also worried about Hurts' leadership. We know he's mentally tough, but he seems very self-involved to me. It's a big year for Jalen Hurts. It is. But people also act like Jalen Hurts had a bad year last year. He didn't have a 2022 elite year. You had to expect some regression from him. The 21 to 22 jump he took was unheard of in NFL history. No one went from 21 Jalen Hurts to 22 Jalen Hurts ever before. That much of a jump with that many questions. So you'd expect a little bit. But we were 10-1 under him to start the season. Okay. I get the self-involved thing. Maybe not. We'll see. But there's still an uber amount of talent there. The guy is still an elite level quarterback. Elite as in second tier behind Patrick Mahomes. I'm not worried about Sirianni at all. Stop. Yeah, exactly. I found a way. I'm all for Flyers talk. You just got to ask real questions or real comments, things I can address other than you just saying we're not talking. That's not a comment. Also, like Lindros, Recchi, Leclerc, and a few. Oh yeah, absolutely. The Legion of Doom, Leclerc, Lindros, and Michael Rem. Was it Michael Remberg? My Long Beaches defeated. Okay. Has Phil ever questioned or ridiculed an Eagles player? All the time. Phil is the gatekeeper. I am. I'm a Nolan Smooth denier. Okay. He was the leader in that locker room when we had the biggest collapse in NFL history. Was it the biggest collapse in NFL history? Maybe. Maybe. Look, there's a lot of question marks, but you cannot jump off the band. I'm not saying bandwagon. That's the wrong word there. Hold on. You can't jump off on a team that has had the success the Eagles had in the last 3 years because of 7 weeks. You got to give them some benefit of the doubt. The team is missing some, but still, the core of this team is still the exact same core outside of Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox that went to the Super Bowl a year prior. You still got Jalen Hurts. You still got Nick Sirianni, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Brandon Graham, Haason Reddick, Slay, Bradbury. A lot of the same guys. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is back. A lot of those 2022 Eagles are still here. Yes, there's questions. But doesn't get to the Super Bowl 1 year prior and still returning to the playoffs last year, albeit a disaster, but they got back to the playoffs last year with the hardest schedule in football. Doesn't that give them a little bit of grace period, a little benefit of the doubt? If you fired every head coach and cut every quarterback after they had one bad season, this would be like, it would be insane. To me, 22 earned them the benefit of the doubt on 23. Now, 24 might be a different story. I'm making sure to leave this open that I can backtrack on this, okay? And say, yes, get rid of them at some point. But right now, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Jason Kelce shares dream collaborate. Yeah, okay. Kenny Pickett. Yeah, there's a Kenny Pickett thing I want to address too. It's funny. It will go down 2 ways. Barkley goes off the Super Bowl and land. Yeah. Serious reservations. You can have reservations about it. I think serious is a bit of a stretch. I think they have done enough to earn a little bit of leeway. A little bit of it. Not a lot, but a little bit of it. What I didn't realize until this very day is that it was Patricia all along. You broke my heart. I knew it was you all along. Yeah, Fredo. Elizabeth, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. Fair enough. I'll give them this season too. Look, you can be skeptical. You can have reservations. But you got to go into it with an open mind. You can't go in with blinders that they suck right away. You got to go in open-minded that they've tweaked enough of the roster, tweaked the coaching staff enough that, again, 2022, 1 year ago. This time last year, we're talking about coming off a Super Bowl. Can we get back? And yes, it wasn't pretty, but we were 10-1. Jalen Hurts was literally, after the 11th game of the season, which was week 12, Jalen Hurts was the favorite, the betting favorite to win the MVP of the league. And then it all just fell apart after Buffalo. Beating Buffalo was the worst thing that ever happened to them. Just think about that. For anybody that's had doubt on this Eagles team. Week 12, we were 10-1, the best team in football with the MVP front runner. It all fell apart. Obviously. They made a mistake changing their coordinator, not changing their coordinator, but changing their coordinator. That might have been, and I don't know whose decision that was, whether it was Nick Sirianni or Howie Roseman. Nick Sirianni takes the bullet for it, but I don't know if he was just taking the bullet for Howie or not. To me, the biggest mistake the Eagles made in 2023 was not moving on from Desai to Patricia, but it's how they moved on from Desai. Desai's still the defense coordinator. He's going to sit in the booth. Patricia's going to call the plays on the sideline, but he's going to call based off the not just making. If they would have just came out and said, "Sorry, Sean Desai, you're fired. Leave." Matt Patricia, you are now in charge, and didn't have two voices, two chefs, two head chefs on the same line. That was the biggest mistake of 2023. I think maybe the defense rebounds under Patricia a little differently if it's just his voice. If Desai's not still lurking in the equipment room, peeking around. What are you guys doing? You can't have that coach or player in different scenarios in limbo just sitting there. It's a distraction. The biggest mistake wasn't making the change. It was how they made the change. Maybe 2023 turns out differently if they just straight up say, Desai, you're out. You're gone. Pack your bags. Have a good one. Thanks for your time. Good luck in your future endeavors. That would be the smarter way of done it. Maybe that changes it. Maybe. But I think going to a Super Bowl 1 year prior earns them 1 year. And again, it was a collapse, but they still made the playoffs. It gives them a cushion. It has to. You didn't put it on this? What? What? Is Patricia still around? No, I don't know where he is. I blame Jeffrey Lurie, and we can't fire his ass. You can't fire an owner. You can't. And why are we blaming Jeffrey Lurie? What did he do this time? I'm not sure why we're blaming Jeffrey Lurie today, but Jeffrey Lurie is a great football owner, great football team owner, great sports owner. He might meddle too much. He might. Very well. It's funny, I read an article, I didn't even know this, that Parris Campbell was somebody that the Eagles wanted to draft in 2019. And they were ready to do it, but Jeffrey Lurie meddled in and said, "Nuh-uh, take the Stanford kid, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside." So it's just full circle moment getting Parris Campbell in Midnight Green like he wanted. Which brings up my Kenny Pickett. I have been bashing Kenny Pickett and that move since day one that it happened, that trade like a week or two ago, whatever that was. And I saw today on my Facebook memories. Facebook memories strike all the time because I was bigger in Facebook before Twitter. And my Facebook post, no, it wasn't that. That's not what it was. It was the show. It was trending today, trending in the AM 2 years ago in 2022. We talked about Eagles scouting Kenny Pickett before the draft of 2022. Because again, 2 years ago, we weren't sold on Jalen Hurts yet. I was, but not everybody was. The Eagles weren't. They were scouting Kenny Pickett. And lo and behold, 2 years later, Kenny Pickett is on the Eagles. We didn't draft him, but now we got him. Howie loves full circle moments like that. Howie loves to go back to the well. The guys he didn't get, bring them in eventually. Your stupid kicker doesn't miss. He doesn't. Sean Hockley hates the Bills. You guys could have done anything. We're blaming the refs. I see. Lurie is the one who foisted Patricia on the coaching staff. Yeah, Lurie does have a weird fetish with New England Patriots, former, past, present, coaches, players. Devontae Parker, he's a former Patriot as well. Sure, maybe it was him who wanted Patricia being here to begin with, put them in the position to switch over to him. We didn't need him here to begin with. Yup, J-Jaw was Lurie's boy. He was. Dude, I don't want to say I was a J-Jaw truther, but I thought the J-Jaw on paper could have been a good football player, I think. He just didn't have it up here. He didn't have the drive and determination in the one. He had size, strength, speed. He just couldn't put it together mentally. Just couldn't. Phil would mess up the rotation. What? I don't even know what you're saying. Kenny Pickett trade isn't the worst trade ever. It's growing on. I hated it. I hate moving from 90 whatever 8 to 120, 98 to 120. I hate that. I think the player you get at 98, the potential of the player at 98 versus the potential of the player at 120, I think is a lot bigger than people realize. But there's far worse options as backup quarterback. Is Kenny Pickett better than Marcus Mariota as the backup? Maybe, maybe not. Time will tell. But Kenny Pickett, the trade's grown on me a little. I've learned to accept it. I have not loved it, but maybe I don't hate it as much as I originally did. A lot of my things are overreact, like instant. People crush me on social media for changing my opinions. Problem is, they don't understand that most of my opinions that I post on Twitter are instant reactions to breaking news. When I saw the Kenny Pickett trade, boom, I hated it because I didn't like giving up 98 or whatever it was. I hated it. But then I let it digest for a little bit. I let the theory marinate in my head a little bit. I'm like, all right, it makes a little bit of sense. I get it. I don't like the player. I don't think the player is very good, but the value is there in the trade. I wish Giants fan gut would come back. I got words. I saw someone is claiming Quez is yeah, somebody chose 16. I forget. I don't know. People get all worked up about what's the number going to be of the new player on all Philly sports, on all sports teams, period. Everybody can't wait till a new player picks their number. Um, I could care less. Somebody did choose number 16. I don't know. I don't remember who it was though. One of the new Eagles has chose 16. Um, but I could care less. Like, I don't even care about jersey numbers being retired. Like, to me, it doesn't matter. A number is a number. Like, people are like, oh, I got to change it or I got to pay for my number because I only want to wear my number. Jersey number excitement, it does nothing for me. They could have no numbers on the jerseys and I wouldn't care. To me, too. To be honest, I think Pickett is better than Mariota and he has a lot more potential. There's more upside, there's more untapped potential in Kenny Pickett. The problem is, though, we don't need untapped potential in Kenny Pickett. We need a viable backup that knows how to sit on the bench, that is content sitting on the bench, but always will stay ready. Not get ready, stay ready for a moment's notice. That's what makes a good backup quarterback. Always being ready, not getting ready. I don't know if Kenny Pickett can do it. I know what Marcus Mariota is capable of. He's got limitations, but he's been a backup quarterback off and on his whole career. He knows how to come in a moment's notice. Kenny Pickett instantly wanted out of Pittsburgh as soon as they brought in Russell Wilson. And it wasn't even like Russell Wilson was the favorite, but it wasn't like if Kenny Pickett went out and had a good spring that they wouldn't have considered him. Like, he ran away from the pressures of being the backup in Pittsburgh to a Hall of Fame quarterback in Russell Wilson, where he could have learned and become a better quarterback behind him. Ran away from that instantly. So that's my biggest issue with Kenny Pickett is he doesn't want to be a backup. He's young. He still thinks he could be a starter on a team. Is he going to be a malcontent or he's going to be okay playing second fiddle? I don't need a guy that's chirping in the background. Pickett is a lot cheaper than Mariota. Yeah, obviously. And we have him for 2025. Absolutely. I get the contract. I get the reasoning financially behind it. I do. I just still don't get the Kenny Pickett is a good quarterback. I don't even know if he's a good backup quarterback. I don't know anything positive. Like seriously, like his numbers are weak. Throws a lot of interceptions. Has a very low completion percentage for a guy that started games. He got benched for Mason Rudolph. Let's let that sink in. Would Mason Rudolph be a better backup quarterback on this team than Kenny Pickett? And I'm just saying names, not dollars and cents. A guy that's been a backup that knows how to thrive in that backup role and come and play well enough that when that you literally bench the starting quarterback for him. Like he would never overtake Jalen Hurts, Mason Rudolph. But at least he's going to go in there and play well as the backup, well enough that in a bad situation like Pittsburgh, he earned a starting role. Everybody hit the thumbs up. Come on. I shouldn't have to remind you. And I say it at the beginning of every show, and I say at the reset, which will be coming up here shortly. I don't care about numbers either, but can we stop retiring players' numbers who haven't won a Super Bowl or a slew of all pros? McNabb, for example. Donovan McNabb's different. But Donovan McNabb, I get why they retire numbers, and McNabb's should be based off of why they do it. But honestly, if somebody wants to wear 62, I can care less. If somebody wants to wear 80, 23, any number, I don't care. It doesn't bother me one iota. And I don't get excited for things at all. I don't. Like the release jerseys, like as you see, I've got a few jerseys hanging up behind me. Only three of them are really legit. They're all fake jerseys. Like I don't care. Everybody wants to get the jersey number so they can order them. If you would have gone on Fanatics website and ordered a Saquon Barkley jersey the day they announced he was wearing 26 in Philly, you know what the Fanatics estimated time of arrival of your new Saquon Barkley jersey is? Someone shared a picture. They placed an order for one Saquon Barkley number 26 Eagles jersey. The day it was announced he was going to keep 26 here in Philly. You know when they're getting their jerseys from Fanatics? October. It is March. And Fanatics are so backed up on jersey orders for Saquon Barkley. April, May, June, July, August, September, 7 months. So rushing to get it because you can't wait to get that new jersey. It'll take you that long. Forget about it. Just go to the store and get it. Go to Temu and get it. Go to DH Gate and get it cheaper. Get here quicker. But everybody's got to have that new jersey. Core 12 Core 12 should not need reminding for anything. At all. At all. Again, 15 minutes till Kylee joins us here. So I'm going to remind two or three other things that we can talk about as well as the Eagles. Calipari losing and Kentucky losing last night. Feel bad for the players, but it couldn't have happened to a better guy in Calipari losing again. At some point, Kentucky's got to think about firing him. The Tush Push, the Eagles, brotherly shove will be here in 2024. It is not getting banned. One of the many rule changes proposed that didn't work. The vet was imploded 20 years ago yesterday. Favorite memories of the vet. 1991, July 9th. Kyle Abbott was 1-14 that year for the Philadelphia Phillies. I was at his one win in 1991, or 92, actually. It was a July night. It was against the Dodgers. And he got his one win of the year. It was a fireworks night. One of my favorite memories. As a kid going to the vet, sitting in the 700 level with my dad and my brothers. And by the third inning, we were in the 600 level. By the fifth inning, we were in the 500 level. And maybe if it was a bad enough game, by the seventh inning, eighth inning, we were down along the field because there were no fans there. Huge memory there. Being able to walk in with a bag of food to the stadium in like 1991. So my dad could afford to take all of us to a game. Great memory. Walking the ramps, the circle ramps around the vet. Huge vet memory. Dave Matthews, Santana, and the Roots performed live for an entire weekend in 1999 at the vet. Huge memory right there of mine at the vet. Loved that. My other favorite thing. Fanatics birthdays. Back in the early 90s, late 80s, they used to give out these super, super cheap trucker hats to kids 14 and under for the Fanatics birthday. I always wondered why I got beat up in school. Now looking back, when I was bullied, wearing that hat to school was probably why I got beat up all the time. Because I rocked it with pride, and it was so cheesy now looking back on it. Dave Matthews' Ultimate Dad Band. Dude, Dave Matthews Band, back in the day, was my jam. Sit there and listen to those albums, those CDs on repeat nonstop. Ultimate vibing to that music. His cover of All Along the Watchtower, amazing. Okay? Back when Leroy Moore, rest in peace, the Gru Gux King, before he passed away, one of the best sax players to play in a rock and roll band there is ever. Phenomenal. Boyd Tinsley, before he got in trouble for whatever it was exactly, I forget, but it was definitely some sexual harassment issues with Boyd Tinsley. An amazing electric violinist. Carter Buford, probably the best rock drummer of the last 25 years. An amazing band. Dave Matthews himself, he's a mediocre singer. He's an okay rhythm guitar player. He writes some good lyrics. But Dave Matthews' band, 100% greater than Dave Matthews himself. I didn't even mention Stefan Lassard, great bass player. People don't realize he was only like 15, 16 years old when he joined the band in like 95 when they were just touring clubs down in North Carolina. I know a lot about Dave Matthews. I went to every single Dave Matthews. If he played 3 days in a row, I was at all three shows. Always. Back in the day, that was my thing. But anyway, that concert was amazing because you had the encore was Watchtower. One of the songs on the encore was All Along the Watchtower. You had Santana playing the electric guitar. You had the Dave Matthews Band doing their thing. And then you had the Roots on stage doing their thing all together. It was like a 10-minute version of Watchtower. It was amazing. One of the greatest things I've ever seen live in concert. But vet memories, Calipari losing, Tush Push, Howie Roseman, James Harden. Anybody see the video of James Harden finally playing defense? Just unfortunate it was against his own player. Funniest video I've ever seen. I just don't understand that. All of that's on the table. We're going to get into baseball here in about 10 minutes because Kylee will be joining us. Something I want to bring up. Athletes like Bryce Harper going to management and saying, get this player. It's a hot button topic for Phillies fans. Does Bryce Harper overstep his boundaries by demanding it? Like he's come out and said, we need another starting pitcher. Go get another starting pitcher. Do we like or dislike when athletes demand things of teams? We hate it when superstars in the NBA try to band together and demand to play together. We don't really see it in football as much. We see tampering in football, but that's about it. But when Bryce Harper does it, we love it because he's making a statement to his team and the fans that we want better. So why is it okay with some and why is not? I'm okay with it for all of them. Like, I don't care. If players want to band together in the NBA, form super teams, be my guest. Do whatever you want to do. I would have no problem with Jalen Hurts coming out and saying, if we didn't have two elite, get me another wide receiver. Yo, this guy's a free agent or this guy is unhappy. Justin Jefferson once out in Minnesota. Bring him here. I want Justin. Like, I'm okay with it. Let the players be more of a, you have to be an elite player. You have to be a star. You have to be somebody that has led by example. But I am okay with athletes banding together, athletes demanding, athletes, superstar athletes telling ownership, yo, we're good, but you better sign another player and we'll be great. For some reason, people are, there's a few media members that are against Bryce Harper doing it. But if other players would do it, if Joel Embiid came out and said, yeah, I want this player, and they got it, they would say, oh, it's great because Joel Embiid stood up and is giving the Sixers the best chance. But Bryce Harper doing it, it's a problem. I'm perfectly fine with Bryce Harper doing it. I love it. I love my stars pushing for better on their team. I really am. So all that is on the agenda. We're going to do a quick reset here before Kylee joins us here. You're watching Trending in the AM. Not many of you. Friday, it's quiet Fridays in the chat today. I've tried to put anything and everything in the chat. You guys don't want to chat. That's all good. But you're watching Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network Live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Like, share, subscribe, follow, retweet, wherever you're watching. Drop your comments on anything and everything. Hell, we even talked Flyers today. And I love it. So we've been able to cover so many different things. I talked March Madness today. That's how crazy and how random today's been. And I knew today was going to be a random show. There's a lot of little things going on. And it's been a fun way of just covering it all. Another great Veteran Stadium memory that I have is a memory that I didn't get to have. I'm going to tell a little story here. Total violation story. Okay? Kevin Millwood's no-hitter. All right? I forget what year that was. Was it like 2001? I think. Maybe 2002? Something like that. Kevin Millwood's no-hitter. It was a Sunday at the Vet. And I had tickets to go to the game. So what happens was, I was a manager at a pizza shop, restaurant, bar, and my server called out sick. Nobody would cover it, so I had to go in. Gave my tickets away. All right, whatever. It happens. And then I get a phone call from that employee while I'm watching the game at the bar of the restaurant that I'm working at. I'm watching the no-hitter unfold on TV. I get a phone call from that employee from the game. Oh, my God, Phil, are you watching this? Kevin Millwood's throwing a no-hitter. I'm like, hold on, are you at the game right now? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, you're in my ticket, in my seat. I'm working because you called out sick. Needless to say, that employee lost his job for that. And we did not stay friends very long after that. Lying. Could have been at my only no-hitter in my life. But I missed out on the opportunity for work. Still pisses me off to this day. that I could have been at the Kevin Millwood no-hitter. It does. It sucks. It really does. But it's a great veteran stadium, memory. Calipari loses again for the 100th time. There's a few reasons why I don't follow college basketball anymore. I'm not a fan of NCAA and how corrupt the organization is. I'm not a fan of the one and dones. I'm not a fan of the conference realignments. I'm not a fan of the fact that Calipari and Izzo and all them want to do with mid-majors in March Madness. And yesterday proves why they want to do it. A team like Oakland not getting an automatic bid, Kentucky gets in. But a real reason why I really can't stand it is for people like John Calipari, like Rick Pitino, that cheat, lie, steal, and get away with it. When was the last time Calipari even won an NCAA tournament game? But yet he's put on this perch as this elite head coach. He doesn't deserve it. Rick Pitino doesn't try to grow young men into grown men. He just tries to lie, cheat, and steal his way to another title. And then when his team gets an invitation to the NITs, nah, we're not going. Calipari would have denied an invitation to the NIT too. He ain't coaching an NIT game. That's making it more about yourself and not about making young men into grown men. Dude, I don't know who that Oakland kid was, but I was hoping he broke the record and got to 12 last night. I really was. I was praying and hoping that kid from Oakland and that head coach from Oakland, they're saying he was like 60 something. Like, I didn't realize how old he was. That guy, there's 18 seconds left, I think it was, in the game. And his players started jumping up and down and celebrating like they had won the game. But it was still a pretty close game. I think it was only like a 5-point game. And he was blasting those kids. Get your head in the game. It's not over. And Kentucky had another chance to tie it up. He was right in yelling at his kids for overreacting too quickly, thinking it was over too quickly. And I love it. I love the way he handled that situation. All right. It's time. Phillies Phridays with Kylee. Joining me on the I Have No Sponsor hotline, the great Kylee from Bell Smashers Pod, Philadelphia Sports Network. Good morning, Kylee. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fun. I'm fantastic. This has been one of the most complete random shows. I don't know how much you can watch, but completely random. We are all over the place with the conversation today.
We
Uh,
love it.
You're too young to have Veterans Stadium memories. That's what, like, you might not even remember it being imploded 20 years ago. That's how young you are.
I actually do remember it being imploded. I was out of the spectrum. I'm pretty sure it was the vet. I do remember the vet being imploded.
It was 20 years ago yesterday. So if you're under 25, you might not have that memory. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm 20. I turned 26 in a few months. So
Okay, so you might have a slight memory of the implosion.
Slight.
That's good. I just have so many memories of going to such a shitty stadium growing up as a kid that it just, seeing the memory pop up that it imploded 20 years ago, really, really brought me back to a lot of my childhood. And I don't know if you
Yeah.
just caught the last memory I just mentioned. I know it was before your time, but as a restaurant worker, as a restaurant manager, like I've been, did you hear what I just explained?
No, I didn't. I was
Okay, so Kevin Millwood threw a no-hitter late in like 2001 or 2002 at the Veterans Stadium. I had tickets to go, but I was a manager at a restaurant and a server called out, so I covered. The server called me from the game saying, "Do you see what's going on? Kevin Millwood just threw a no-hitter." I'm like, "You just called out sick." And you're basically, because he was in the same group of friends, he basically took my ticket and went to the game and called out. Is that not a violation of all violations right there?
Oh yeah.
Like, was I justified in firing that kid from his job and
I'd
no
fire
longer
him.
ever speaking to him ever again?
Yeah, I'd fire him.
I mean, that was my one chance to catch a no-hitter live,
Yeah,
and I missed it because a friend called out and I had to cover for him.
that's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it gets any worse than that. And I don't hold grudges. I don't even remember the kid's name, but I've never gotten over that one. Out of all the grudges I've had in my life, that still is like number one priority on my grudge list right there.
I can definitely understand that.
All the exes that broke up with me, the ones that cheated, whatever. The bullies in my life growing up, all of them. I'm over all of it, but I'm not over that moment in my life.
I wouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's talk Phillies. We are now less than a week. This time next week, we'll be recapping game 1 of the season. That is how close we are. But we still got problems on this team. So before we talk pitching, before we do another weekly update on the Rojas Pachi, center field situation, I want to bring up the theory because they have dabbled still with the talk of Montgomery as another pitcher. Snell obviously signed a deal and is off the market now. The theory of Bryce Harper, and there's a lot of media members pushing that he oversteps his boundaries by constantly saying, go get X, go sign another person, go do this, get me JT Realmuto extended, get me, Kyle Short. He's constantly, chirping. And these same media members, they don't care when stars in basketball try to group together and form super teams. They would love it if Jalen Hurts said, yo, get me this or that. You know what I mean? But for some reason, there's been a few select media members chirping that they don't like Bryce Harper doing it. Do you have a problem when an athlete, whether it's baseball or any sport, chirps to the point where he doesn't demand, but he pushes ownership into a direction of doing more?
Well, we've seen how successful the Phillies have been the last 2 years. The 2 biggest years where he said get people. So, I mean, he's been right so far.
Has he been right? We haven't won a World Series yet.
We've come super close. And without them, there's no shot they get anywhere near even the playoffs.
Right. Is there a level where Bryce Harper, needs to, he keeps chirping, he keeps going to ownership. He does it in a very professional way when he makes it's not like he's like bad mouthing ownership through back channels or anything. But is there a limit? Like, does at some point management have to say, you got to play, and let us build the team? Or when you are as special as Bryce Harper is, it's carte blanche. You could just do and say whatever you want.
I think because this is especially with Reese going, this is officially like Harper's team.
Okay.
I mean, Nola's been here the longest, especially a lot longer than Harper, but with what Harper has managed to do in such a short time already with the Phillies, he's brought the team so much success. Bedlam at the bank. He was so close to a second Bedlam at the bank this past season. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but he was close. And MVP, Silver Slugger, Hank Aaron, everything. So as long as he's not going out and being like, trade this guy and whatever, I don't see any issue because Bryce Harper created this clubhouse family, and I feel like he would know who would help continue that.
I think that's a fair way to put. I think that's very fair. He also would know who would fit in with that clubhouse versus who wouldn't fit in as well, to an extent. So not just who would help them win, but fit into that family clubhouse. I mean, you still see it. I mean, I saw the Instagram video like a couple weeks before spring training where they were all in Disney World or Disneyland together, and you had a former player in Zack Eflin, still hanging out with the Phillies because of the family that Harper has built that locker room into.
Yeah. It means something.
It actually, I almost feel like the locker room, like the vibe of the locker room. Would you say that in baseball, it means the most out of the major sports? I just thought of this off the top of my head, so I haven't even had time to ponder it myself. But I'm kind of thinking because you're together for 162 games a year, you travel more in baseball than any other sport, that the vibe and the family and the camaraderie of that locker room,
it's got to be tight.
It's got to be tight, right? Basketball, maybe.
Yeah.
Football, you're together for 17 weeks, I guess, but you're not together every single day. You get days off every week. I kind of feel like that vibe in that locker room is more important in baseball than any sport.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen what the Phillies can do with vibes. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, Garrett Stubbs has said, if we do win a World Series, watch out for the biggest party of all time. You need guys that are talented like Bryce Harper, but you also need guys like Garrett Stubbs, who is going to keep the vibe fun and
Yeah.
loose and whatnot. All right, so on to the team. One more week has gone by. We still don't have a definitive answer on who our starting center fielder is going to be. In the last week, have you seen anything that Rob Thompson and Dave Dombrowski are leaning one way or another?
I did. I think it was a Matt Gelb article I read where it really, really sounded like they are keeping Rojas,
Okay.
and like it was no matter it sounded like they were just gonna just go with Rojas. Because they changed his swing,
Mm-hmm.
and so they were gonna be not results driven, but mechanics driven. See if it looks good, see if he's getting into it, and then the results will hopefully eventually get there.
Mm-hmm.
That sounded like that's the theory, and so far, that's kind of where it's going.
Do you think the fact that Rojas has options and Pachi does not have as many options left, if that will play into their final decision, or do you think it's just going to be strictly the swing and who gives us the best opportunity to win, and they're not really too worried about that?
I definitely think, at least especially from the fans' perspective, the options definitely play a factor
Mhm,
into it because nobody wants to lose Pache's bat.
mhm,
Everybody seems to like Pache's bat, and I agree. But um, with Rojas having options, you have the option to send him down, work on his swing
mhm.
at a lower level, and have Pache do his thing up at the major league level, at least until the trade deadline, where you can bring Rojas up.
Um, is there a scenario where both, like, because we keep saying it's Jake Cave and either Pache or Rojas? Is there a scenario where both make the team, and maybe like a Jake Cave type? I know Jake Cave's got more of the pop in his bat and whatnot, but is there a scenario where they keep both? And I don't see that being a scenario, but you know, is it maybe? Because again, Jake Cave stinks. I'm sorry.
I don't see it being a scenario as much as I would love for it to be a scenario, but I haven't really seen anything that would tell me otherwise.
I still feel like it's got to be Pache at this point, not because of the options, just because of the fact that you want Rojas to continue to work on this new swing every day and playing every day in AAA versus you've got three guys rotating between two positions, left and center field. You got Marsh, you got whoever, and then you've got Whitfield or Whit Merrifield. Um, you're every day it's gonna be a rotation of those three guys. You want him getting those at bats every day, not 2 out of every 4 days. And if they're not confident in him 100% to put him out there every single day,
Gotta
that
send
I
him
think that
down.
answers the question, right?
Yeah, for sure. Rojas needs the everyday at bats. Absolutely needs them. So whatever gets him the most at bats, you got to do it.
Yeah, it's got to be AAA. All right, onto the pitching side. um, two things with pitching. One, Zack Wheeler has been named opening day starter. The first time since Jeremy Hellickson, way back in the day, that Aaron Nola will not be starting opening day. It's the right decision, right? Like, I
Yeah,
think it's a pretty basic question, very simple. We don't have to get deep into it, but I think they made the right decision there. And I think Aaron Nola understands it and understands why, right?
yeah, for sure. I mean, Wheeler's been the best pitcher since he got here.
He might be one of the 3 or 4 best pitchers in baseball. So why wouldn't he be starting, right?
Exactly. So he was supposed to start the last couple years, but the first year it was Nola, and the second year I'm pretty sure he was hurt.
He might
Second
not
time
have
he
been
was
fully
hurt.
ready for opening day. Yeah, that
Yeah, it
might have
was
been
something
why.
like that.
Yeah. Um, but the rest of those, so they've already announced it's going to be Wheeler, Nola, Ranger, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Um, it's after that there's still questions. That's why Montgomery is still this lingering thing. And I think they said Montgomery threw for scouts or something like that. Like, I don't understand why that was even necessary. Like, you
Yeah.
know what kind of pitcher Montgomery is. Um, Taiwan Walker. And he had a late start to spring. He was injured, banged up. He got roughed up really bad earlier this
Yeah.
week, and everybody's overreacting. Oh, look, I'm not a Taiwan Walker fan. I think I got blasted when I said it was a terrible signing last offseason. But he's still a middle of the rotation, major league starting quality pitcher. Are fans overreacting to Taijuan Walker? Because that was only like his second or third appearance of all spring. Most pitchers are on, fourth, fifth, sixth appearance already. Taijuan's on his second. Yeah, he got blasted for it. But, are we overreacting to how bad Taijuan Walker really is at this point?
I think the second half of last year combined with a rough start to his spring training has definitely caused some people to overreact to it, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little concerned
Mhm.
because
No,
his
concerns,
velocity
okay,
was
but
down.
the panic and freak out that I'm seeing, I think, is a little excessive.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. But his velocity was down.
Okay.
So that could be concerning, but it's also spring training, so
Yeah, I mean, isn't
tough to say.
everybody's velocity down a little bit at the start of spring training?
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
really just his second or third outing. So he hasn't really fully ramped up yet. And I'm trying to pull up really fast the Phillies schedule right now as you're talking here. Um, but I'm trying to think of how the season even starts out, days off and stuff like that. That's what I'm looking at. And I'm thinking, sometimes you don't even need a fifth starter to start the season.
Yeah,
So there's 4
sometimes.
more spring training games. Why am I on that? I don't want spring training. I want first half. And all right, so you got one, then you got a day off. There's actually not as many days off to start the year as normally. So they
Yeah.
might actually need that fifth starter right from the get go. So you can't really, skip somebody starting the rotation. Do you think the Phillies are seriously considering Montgomery because of the Walker situation?
I have no idea.
And even
I
if you
hope they
get
are.
Montgomery, can you really cut or move on from Walker? You know what I mean? Like, are you really going to bring in Montgomery and make it Montgomery Sanchez, or is it going to be Montgomery and Walker? And Sanchez just kind of lingers around. Like, can they really consider doing that? Like, be unheard of cutting somebody into year 2 of a 4-year massive contract.
Yeah, that's tough. I'm glad I don't make those decisions.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough. Like everybody wants Montgomery so bad, but
Yeah.
like, what are they going to do with the rest of with the other two guys? Like, I mean, yeah, you could send down Sanchez, you can make him your long reliever, you could do whatever there. Then you still got the Taijuan Walker problem. You just gave
Yeah.
Taijuan Walker, what was it, like 4 years, almost $80 million. He's only into year 2 of that. I mean, John Middleton doesn't care about money, but is he really going to pay him, $60 million to go elsewhere? Like, it doesn't make I don't see an answer to this puzzle, this problem here.
Yeah. I I think that Taiwan Walker contract was a knee-jerk reaction.
Mhm.
It was like a panic buy at the last minute, I feel like. Um, but I don't know.
It's a tough
It's
call.
such a
It's a
tough
tough
situation.
decision. I have no idea how to handle that. All right, real
Yeah.
quick. I want to ask you some non-Phillies baseball topics here. Just baseball. Shohei Ohtani. Um, a little story broke about him about
Mm.
36 hours. Little story. What do you think of this whole situation about Shohei Ohtani? And is this going to become the biggest cover up in all of sports history? 'Cause I love conspiracies. And I'm thinking this is going to be the biggest cover up in 30 years from now. It is going to come out this massive story. So, where do you sit in this Shohei Ohtani situation?
I keep getting confused
It is
because
confusing, isn't it?
because from what I understand it as is um the Otani rep was talking about, you know, paying off Ipe's debt, and
Yep.
then the theory is they found out it was illegal, and so they went back, changed the story,
Mhm.
and now they're claiming that Ipe stole the money, and you're thinking, how does the interpreter not only get away with taking $4.5 million from Otani, but also how does he have access to Otani's bank information?
Right.
So I don't believe it was theft
Yeah.
at all.
I fully expected when they changed the story for them to make, well, there was a translation issue there. That's why we changed the story. this is the real story, but he just didn't translate it correctly. Um, to me, this stinks
Yeah.
of Major League Baseball trying to cover up their golden goose from looking either A, like a complete and total idiot, or B, thinking he can get away with it because he's the golden goose. Like, this is like, I know you didn't live through the steroid era. I mean, you know about the steroid era from looking back and studying it and reading it and watching about it. I lived through it. And I knew what was going on. We all knew what was going on, but we turned a blind eye to it. Like, this is baseball trying to turn a blind eye to possibly, like, if this was just Taiwan Walker or if this was Garrett Stubbs, suspend it, you're done, no big deal. Just like Isaiah Rodgers, the Eagles, sat for a year, Calvin Ridley sat for a year. But this is Ohtani. This is the face, basically the face of baseball right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that this is not just the Dodgers, not just Ohtani's representatives, but everybody collaboratively trying to get together to find a way to cut? Because I know it sounds very conspiracy-ish, but that's where I'm sitting with it, that I think everybody's banding together to try to make this go away.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised that this is happening with the situation because, like you said, it's Ohtani, the best player in baseball right now.
Right.
So, and this is a huge scandal, which, I mean, it wouldn't, gambling on games not baseball related is completely legal in baseball, but not legal in California.
Oh.
So that if he was doing it, if he was on the Orioles or the Nationals and he was doing it through one of the thousands of sportsbook apps and not betting on baseball, totally fine. Totally fine. But he went to a Southern California bookie, illegal, very illegal bookie, and that's where the that's where the issue is.
Yeah, I just don't get it. Like I know having all that money, and look, I gamble, I do. I'm not ashamed of it, and I know Mark, when he watches this show or comes on this show, talks about that sports being in bed with the bookmakers and stuff. It's going to be a problem someday, but like it just reeks like you're told not to do this or that, and then they do it anyway, and it's frustrating because this should not be what we're talking about.
No.
We should be talking about the start of another season, but this is a huge distraction, especially considering that the Dodgers and Padres have been having their kickoff series this week and stuff like that. On another note with that series, as a Phillies fan, knowing that the Phillies offered Yamamoto the most money and he turned it down to play for the Dodgers, wasn't it very, very exciting to watch him get completely rocked in the first inning of his first start ever in Major League Baseball? Like, I don't want to sound like a bitter like X, but it kind of was good to see that he got like I loved it. It made me very smiley when I saw that. It tickled my loins a little bit.
Well, it made me happy that I don't have to go on social media and tell people to calm down and not overreact about one bad outing.
Right.
So that's nice.
Yeah, it's just one bad outing, and he's probably going to like win the Cy Young or something.
Right.
But it couldn't have been a better person, that he got rocked on that first start like that. I loved it.
Yeah, I was surprised because I was asleep when it happened, and I woke up and I was like, "Ugh." That's
all right.
Brutal.
Next week when you're on this show, it might be a slightly different time. We're working on that on the side. We'll have one game complete. So this is the last time before the roster is set, before the season starts, that we will talk live on this show. Do you have any bold predictions? Is there any way to even have a bold prediction for the start of the Philly season? Like somebody that's going to get cut, something crazy that you predict that will happen. Is there a bold thing that happens with this Phillies team?
My agenda has always been Bryce Harper Gold Glove.
Bryce Harper Gold Glove first baseman. Wow. I like that.
We haven't had that in a long time.
No. Have we ever had a first baseman Gold Glover?
I don't remember.
I'm digging deep in. Crutcher never won one. Ricky Jordan never won one. Travis Lee wasn't here long enough to win one. Rico Bronya was not a Gold Glover. I can name every first baseman in the history of baseball. Just letting you know. I'm just trying to dig deep into my bag of tricks here with names here, you know.
He's definitely got the caliber to do it, but the NL is loaded with first base talent. So
True.
hopefully that comes true.
Okay. I think Bryce Harper. I'll do my predictions next week. Thursday will be our Phillies kickoff show here on Trending in the AM. I will
I'll
have
be
my
at opening
predictions.
day.
What's that?
I'll be at opening day.
You'll be at opening day. That is fantastic. Lucky you. I haven't been to an opening day. I never actually liked opening day. I always used to love the second game because the second game had better giveaways than the first game. They always had great T-shirts and great things they gave away. I was always game 2 kind of guy. But I don't know how I'm going to phrase this prediction when I do my kickoff show on Thursday, but I know Bryce Harper is going to be in competition for the MVP.
Yeah.
But I think Bryce Harper doesn't win MVP. I think there is a greater chance that Zack Wheeler wins the Cy Young than Bryce Harper wins the MVP. And that's going to I'm going to phrase that better somehow on Thursday. But I think Zack Wheeler is Cy Young. And that's kind of where I'm going this year. He's going to reward the Phillies for rewarding him with his best season yet as a Philly.
That'd be awesome.
Could you imagine? I'd love it. I'd be so excited.
Right.
All right, Kylie. You got anything happening this week? When's the next episode of Bell Smashers?
We're talking about it now, potentially Wednesday, maybe even Friday. So we'll see about that one.
Make sure you guys are following Kylie and the Bell Smashers pod. Check out all her work on Philadelphia Sports Network, phillysportsnetwork.com. Kylie, have a great weekend and go Phillies.
You too. Go Phils.
That's right. That was Kylie joining me on the I Have No Sponsor hotline. Always grateful for her time here on Phillies Fridays with Kylie. It's been an interesting show today, guys. Interesting as can be. We're going to start the wrap-up process. I think pretty much the Phillies talk kind of ruined the chat, unfortunately, but it is what it is. But as a recap, things we talked about today, the vet implosion and the memories from going to the vet, John Calipari losing makes all right in the world, the Tush Push, staying, Parris Campbell is an Eagle. Lots of things happened today on the show. We covered a lot of topics today on this show. Lots of random topics on this show today. I'm here for it. I love it. But I think with that, we're going to wrap it up here today. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, right here, Trending the AM. Hit the like, share, subscribe, retweet, follow button wherever you're watching. Back Monday. Another full week. This was a jam-packed week. Next week's going to be another full week. Baseball is back next week, guys, and I'm all for it. I cannot wait. Everybody have a great day. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see. Oh, hold on. One final comment. Yeah, that's right, Duck. Go Birds. That's how we end it always, no matter what. Go Birds.